Dealing with hunger has become a $100 billion industry, even saving the economy of an entire European country. Skull. But what if you want more tools to manage hunger than jabbing yourself with a GLP-1 receptor agonist for the rest of your life? In this video, I'm ranking the 6 best methods to keep hunger at bay, all from our favorite online fitness gurus, so you can get lean without the gym bro routine. So first up, we've got everyone's favorite, Greg Doucette, who's going to give us a list of secret foods to keep hunger at bay. And we're going to rank all of these hunger-saving methods based on 3 rules. 1, how much does it reduce hunger? 2, how easy is it to fit into your daily routine? 3, how likely are you to stick with it consistently? So let's kick off with Greg and see what he has to say.
That's right, you can eat as much of these as you want, you're not getting fat.
Wow, we're off to a promising start.
Why? Because it's impossible to overeat these. And by that I mean, if you had to, you couldn't do it. You can try, and please try it.
Alright, so here's the list that he's talking about here. And what does every item on this list have in common? Every food is super high volume. So we're starting out with a great strategy of saying, let's fill your stomach up as much as possible, so you just can't eat anymore, otherwise you're going to vomit. Hence the...
That's right, you can eat as much of these as you want, you're not getting fat.
But this typical bro strategy of bloating yourself to oblivion might not be the best approach. Because whilst it physically fills you up, it doesn't effectively impact hunger signaling up here. It leaves your brain screaming for actual fuel, and this can be a very, very uncomfortable situation. Actually needing to eat, but being unable to eat because you're so bloated. On the plus side, I mean, it's easy to implement. Just grab a bag of salad, or 5, and you're good to go. However, you end up walking around with a permanent food baby, feeling like you might fart up a storm if you move a bit too quickly. So this strategy is a good foundational starting point to feel volume full, but given the significant discomfort with the strategy to reduce hunger, I'm placing it in the B tier. I mean, it's a strategy that works, but you better be single because your partner is not going to put up with this for long. Next up, we're going the opposite direction, a little calmer with the nutritionist, Richie Kirwan from MyProtein, who's telling us not to restrict, but to eat treat foods in moderation to keep hunger at bay.
Biscuits, cakes, buns, muffins, and many desserts.
I have to admit, I'm already sat in my sensory scientist biased against this guy, but let's give him a chance.
Made mostly with refined flour, sugar, and fat, meaning they're incredibly low in protein and fiber, and very energy dense. On top of that, they're delicious.
I agree. They're delicious. And ain't nobody thinking about protein and fiber when they're halfway through a piece of cake.
The foods themselves aren't intrinsically bad as long as you eat them in moderation.
Absolutely. I mean, moderation with a piece of cake that sets your brain's craving mechanisms on fire. I understand where he's coming from, but I can see we might not agree on this.
I like to preach non-restriction and moderation with my clients. If you want to eat something, eat it, provided it fits your needs and goals. One way to better integrate less satiating foods into your diet is to eat them together with foods that increase satiety. If you want a slice of pizza, eat it with a salad.
So, I get the idea. Eat your bowl of salad with a slice of pizza to not feel restricted. In my experience, this does not work at all. It leads to slow or no results, and it reinforces this really misleading term of no bad foods. Sure, the food isn't inherently bad. It's a freaking food. But let's not all pretend that pizza should be a regular part of your daily diet. Just because, you know, you like pizza. Just think about it. These hyperpalatable foods, they short-circuit our brains, making moderation not just difficult, but impossible during a diet. Richie talks as if we're 100% in control of our food decisions. But we aren't. Just Google the words bliss point with the name Howard Moskowitz and you'll see what I mean. This guy was tasked with creating military MREs with the perfect balance of sugar, salt, and fat so the military guys would actually eat them. Because when they were starving, they wouldn't finish their MREs because they tasted so bad. Hyperpalatable foods like pizza, they just hijack our normal food reward system, meaning that we can eat way more of these foods than we can of normal whole foods. So moderation of these foods when we're dieting is simply does not work. And if you're interested in getting lean without the traditional gym bro routine, make sure to subscribe for more game-changing tips. So no, don't have a slice of pizza with your salad when you're trying to get lean. I mean, just wait for your diet break. Given the food science and the anecdotal evidence against this strategy, it's going in the E tier. I mean, it's not quite F tier because at least there's some salad involved, right? Ah yes, we're back to the bros with Dr. Mike Israetel from Renaissance Periodization. I love some of the bro tactics. Forget pizza with salad, let's just do the hardcore stuff. Ignore any side effects and just fill our belly up to the max. All right, Mike, take it away.
Get a diet soda of some kind, or just like I like to get, what's it called, like club soda or whatever.
Living in the US has made me a huge fan of root beer. It's got this similar herbal quality that we have in dandelion and burdock in the UK. I used to have it as a kid. Anyway.
You get that and you just down it, okay? Not, you don't have to go super fast, but over the course of 2 or 3 minutes, down the whole thing, ask for another one. And then when your meal comes, because already then you're kind of full, ask for some more, and then when your meal comes, eat your meal slowly.
Okay, so we down one and then we ask for 2 or 3 more at the meal. Wow. All right, so like with Greg, we're going with the practical, let's just fill your stomach up as much as possible. So you find it hard to eat more, but this time it's with sweet fizzy bubbles and not a bowl of veggies. I do like this though, because eating out is one of the major times that people go off track. It's so hard when you go out of your bubble and your routine and you've got everything moving perfectly. But then you get teleported out of your bubble into the real world, where other people are not dieting and they're looking at you, judging you while you're sweating holding the menu. And most people, they just fold because they think, I've been on track, one meal won't hurt. And no, it won't. But are you there at the meal for the experience with your family and friends? Or are you there to stuff your face? Maybe the latter, but you're probably there for a good time. So as a go-to strategy, ordering a diet soda before your meal or 2 to 3 to go with your meal, basically loading up on calorie-free volume when you're out of your comfort zone, it's a great idea. And if you don't like artificial sweeteners, just get a fizzy water like that Dom Perignon inside of you. This is an epic strategy and it's super easy to do. I mean, you can do it every time before you eat out, but it's not going in the S tier because, like Greg's strategy, it's not going to completely get rid of hunger signaling. But that's not really what it's meant for anyway. I mean, it's more of an emergency strategy just before a meal out, so for sure it's sitting in the A tier. And if you're new here, my name is Tim, and I'm a food scientist and personal trainer now based in Austin, Texas. I specialize in helping guys hit 10% body fat without letting fitness take over their lives. And to get you started, I've got 2 free guides, my 5-minute rapid fat loss guide to carbohydrate cycling, and my 7 best challenge block workouts you can do from anywhere. Both are linked in the description below. Next up, a fitness YouTuber OG, Mario Tomic. Always with the practical advice. But a common misstep from fitness people is we sometimes forget what it was like to be overweight, and they end up giving this feel-good advice that doesn't really work well in practice. Hey, Mario.
So for me personally, when I am hungry, I've associated that with my body losing body fat. So whenever I feel hungry, it's me getting leaner. So it's a positive thing instead of a negative thing.
Right. For starters, if you're under 12% body fat, this idea is much easier to implement because every body fat percentage change is actually noticeable. But when you're over 12% body fat and you're mostly looking at an undefined midsection, it's incredibly difficult to associate hunger with losing body fat because there's so many other thoughts that override it, like, oh no, is this diet even working? Am I going into starvation mode? What if I'm losing muscle? This has great intention and I love Mario, but this is really for the lean guys out there that are looking to get super lean. Never have I had a client over 20% body fat turn around and say to me that this is the solution to their fat loss. And then bam, 12 weeks later they turn around to me and they're shredded. When they're getting hungry, they don't think, hey, I'm just getting leaner. No, they message me and they tell me, I'm hungry, when can I have a pizza? Practicing hunger acceptance, I mean, it's great in theory, but this is a big fat zero for actually reducing hunger. I mean, it's ridiculously difficult to implement because our brain is just not wired this way, unless you've been super lean and defined before. And there's no way you're going to be consistent with this every time you get hungry. So this is going in the F tier, below our nutritionist that loves pizza with his salad. So far, the practical gym bro advice is dominating here. Now we're on to everyone's favorite daily drug. A big old dose of caffeine to blunt hunger and keep you fasted until lunch with ease. Let's see how another Dr. Mike puts it and see what we can take from this.
Coffee is nearly calorie-free and actually kicks up your metabolic rate. And in fact, as caffeine stimulates the production of adrenaline, it also decreases the level of ghrelin, the hormone that makes you feel hungry.
So we've got some clear upsides to having caffeine to decrease our hunger levels, as well as getting all those stimulatory effects of setting our brain on fire and work at 100%.
But this effect holds true even for decaf because it has been shown to increase the hormone peptide YY, which actually makes you feel satiated or full.
And this is critical because we all know the main problem with caffeine. Nothing feels like that first cup of coffee you ever had. In fact, it only takes a few days to become desensitized to coffee's effects. And like any drug with a negative feedback loop, we need more of it just to get the same benefits. But even though we get desensitized to its stimulatory effects, that anti-tiredness effect doesn't go away. And this is where that really devious nature lies in caffeine, because we start to think that feeling not tired is the same as feeling stimulated. But it's not. They are two very different things. The crux of this is that we need 1 day off a week with 0 caffeine, or on decaf to keep our body sensitized to caffeine, and to get the most out of its hunger-suppressing, fat-burning effects. I would say that it's pretty easy to implement and stick to if you don't get any crazy caffeine withdrawal. But the fact is, most people can't go without caffeine every day. And as far as hunger reduction goes, anecdotally, I see big improvements with clients staving off their appetite signals until lunch. However, because of the negative side effects that build up in the background, it can't go in the S tier. So A tier again. We've got one more to go, so can it make it to the S tier? Finally, we move on to my favorite. We've had eat all the veggies, eat your pizza, drink the fizz, think yourself not hungry, and hypercaffeinate yourself. So now we're on to diet breaks, and let's hear from the fitness bible, Jeff Nippard.
When it came to the psychological outcomes, there were obvious benefits all stacked in favor of diet breaks. They reported lower hunger, lower desire to eat, and greater diet satisfaction.
I mean, straight away, for a non-consumable intervention, as in you don't have to take anything or alter your diet, we're simply just taking weeks off of dieting, in between weeks of being on a diet. And this is where the secret lies. It's not all about a battle against overwhelming hunger. It's about strategies that mean you can get better adherence long term, so you can reach your goal leanness, and then transition to a way of eating that allows for maintenance or muscle growth. But let's let Jeff finish.
Which I think would likely translate to greater diet adherence and diet success over the long run. And I think this is the critical piece to the puzzle.
Exactly, so greater adherence in the dieting phase, and not just for that day because you scoffed down 5 bowls of leaves and 10 diet root beers, along with 8 cups of coffee, while you meditate on overwhelming hunger, repeating the mantra of I'm getting leaner. But greater long-term success, because you didn't use a consumable intervention. I'm biased because I use this with my clients, because it works. But diet breaks are game changers at reducing real hunger signaling, and they're super easy to implement and stick to, because you're eating more food. Case closed. Game over, S tier, done. Or, as the medical industry says, if you're hungry, just take Ozempic. And for more coaching tips, watch my video here.